seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide. Hold me closely to his side. With love and strength for each new day, he will make a way. He will make a way. Let's sing it together. Oh, God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways.
I'm glad you're watching From the Heart. You're in for a real treat today. I've wanted to get this lady on for a long time. Go way back with your husband. This is Dr. John Hall's wife, Dell, and she's an individual in her own rights. Dr. John's a great doctor, and was my doctor right after Dr. Davis retired, and I've known them for many, many years. They became my neighbor for a while. And I've asked Dell, I wanted to surprise her with This Is Your Life. May still get to do that sometime, but her kids are scattered in a lot of different places doing a lot of different things. And so finally I just decided I'm going to call Dell and say, come sit down and let's just talk about your family and about coming to Scottsville and being a doctor's wife with small children growing up there it seemed like all at one time, and how Dell managed that and then went on to become mayor of Scottsville. How many years were you mayor, Dell?
9 years.
9 years, and she was a good mayor in my book. I really appreciated Dell, and I tell her that to her face and to her back. I think she was a good mayor. And let's talk a minute about you and your children. Just tell everybody about your children and grandchildren. This will take the whole program.
It will take up the whole
But
time.
let's just tell them.
Well, we have 5 children. They're all grown. They're scattered. Our oldest is in Charleston, South Carolina. She has 3 children. And the second one is John, and he's a school teacher here in Allen County. And then the third one is Daniel. Daniel's a middle child, and he lives in Danville. He's a pharmaceutical rep, and they have 3 children. And then, I forgot to tell you, Johnny's got 4.
Okay.
But anyway, Daniel has a 3, and then Vera comes next, and Vera has 3, and she's a school teacher in Allen County. And then Michael's the baby, and he lives in Danville. He has a pharmacy, and they have 3 children. So all total, we have 5 children and 16 grandchildren.
And you're blessed when it comes time to have a holiday and want to have plenty of loving family.
It's fun. It's really fun, yeah.
But I can remember, you know, I'd come out your house to have your husband give me a shot back a long time ago when they did things like that, when I'd have migraines so bad. And I would just marvel at Dell and how she managed with this large family at home. But let's go back for a minute. How come when did y'all come to Scottsville? What year?
We came to Scottsville in 1961. John had just finished his internship, and his dad was a doctor in Salyersville, Kentucky, which is eastern Kentucky, and my granddaddy was a doctor in Stanford, which was in Lincoln County. Well, we didn't want to go to either place, so we started looking in the state. We wanted a small community. We both grew up in small towns, and we knew that we had checked the KMA, and we knew that there was a physician that needed a physician down here. And we came and visited with Dr. and Ms. Davis and Kathy, and we fell in love with them.
Wonderful people.
Yes, and we like Scottsville people. You know, they were so nice and so friendly, and it hadn't changed a bit. But anyway, we ended up here, and we've lived here ever since, except when John was in the Army, and we left for those 2 years, but then we came back.
I was telling Dell how I remembered an instant in their life when you can tell me the details when they had a fire.
Oh,
which ones?
It was Vera Allen. Who else?
Was she striking matches?
No, we had been to the dollar store that day, and Vera had bought I had bought my daddy cigarette lighter, and we were getting ready to go to Salyersville that weekend, and I was talking to John's mother on the phone, and she came in, and she kept saying, "Mama, Mama," and I just said, "I'll be through in a minute. I'll be through in a minute." So finally she said, Mama, the house is on fire. Just like she had dropped that lighter and it had caught the dust ruffle on fire. And so we tried to get it out, but it didn't work. And I called John at the hospital and I said, John, you've got to come home. Our house is on fire. He said, what? And so anyway, he came home and of course the fire department came. But we had quite a bit of damage. My neighbor at that time was Mary Metter, and she came in to visit a minute, and I said, Mary, help me get this mattress out of here. This house, the mattress is on fire. If we can get it out, we'll be okay. But we couldn't get it out, and it did quite a bit of damage. So.
Well, now, when did you come to live with Emma?
Oh, gosh.
Emma Taylor.
That was in '64. That was when John got out of the Army, and our furniture, we were coming back here to live again, and our furniture hadn't come home, hadn't gotten here yet. So we didn't know what we were going to do. And Emma Taggart just said, well, come on down here, you can stay. And I said, who would take 5 children, 2 bird dogs, 2 adults, just say, come right on in and just make yourself at home. It was wonderful.
But you know, this was so like the Hobdy family, because I grew up just down the street, the next house down from them, and in fact where my house is was their playground. And they were just such a large family. I mean, you know, they just, and till this day, they still get together and have their reunions and everything.
They have the best
We love
time.
Elsie, she's still around, and I miss Emma because she was my across the street neighbor. But I remember Dale when she was over there and thinking about these children, and they're just a precious family, and we're going to show you at the end of the program their pictures. We'll show you first the whole family, and they are like us, they need a current picture, but this is the whole family, and then you'll see the children with them and the grandchildren. So we'll let you watch that at the end. We'll close with that.
Good.
So Dale, let's talk a little bit about how you came to be mayor. Now, it was a number of years. You raised your family, didn't you, pretty much before, how old were they when you became mayor?
Actually, I was on the council for 14 years. And Michael and Vera, they were still at home at the time. Actually, Michael was the only one that was at home when I started running on the council. And anyway, I was there for 14 years, and then decided that there were some things that needed to be done that I knew as being a council member that needed to be finished. And so that's the reason I ran for mayor. I thought we could, you know, if one of us that was there could keep these things going, that it would work out.
How did your family react to your announcement that you were going to be running? Were they all for it?
They were sort of excited. I think so, yeah. They were excited. And
well, let's talk about your years as mayor.
Well,
I'll just let you go in any direction you'd like.
Okay, it was an interesting time, to say the least. I came into office in January of 1994, and right after I got in office, we had a big snowstorm. Okay, and then about 2 weeks later, we had the ice storm, and that was devastating. And it just sort of, and to beat all, I was the only official in town. The judge was in Louisville at a meeting. Our rescue squad people were at the same meeting, and we tried to get some generators down here. And I called Fort Knox, and they said, but where's the judge? I said, the judge is in Louisville. I am the only one here, and we've got dairy farmers that need a generator. Our radio station needs a generator. And I talked to Major Storm, by the way. That was his name. And he said, well, okay, we'll get you some. So they sent us some generators, and that helped out a lot. I think when the radio station came back on the air, that was comfort for the people. At least they could get some news about what was going on. So I reckon that must be the most exciting time. But anyway, as I said, we had a lot of things in mind that needed to be done. I was going to be in office for 5 years, the first time, and I had a 5-year plan. And in that plan, like, was a water tank for White Plains, because the water pressure on the Franklin Road was awful. It was just awful. And we felt like if we'd get a new water tank out there and lay some new lines, that would help, and it did. So we did the water tank, and also the state was telling us we had to do an upgrade on our wastewater plant. So we started working on that. We got that done. And I don't know, we built lift stations all over town, and we put telemetry on the water tank on the Maysville Road, and can't remember what else was in
That's
that.
all right.
Can I
Check
look
your
at this?
cheat sheet. That's fine.
Well,
That's
telemetry.
a number of years. I wouldn't be remembering now.
I just couldn't remember it all. We started mapping the water lines, but we didn't get to do that. That was going to be so expensive that we did get an aerial photo of the community, but we didn't get to map the lines. And of course, during that time, the state mandated that we close Calvert Springs, which was
That was a biggie.
it
right
was
there.
a biggie. It was devastating to a lot of people, and we had to lay a new water line on the Holland Road. We had rusty water, and there's no telling how many clothes we bought during that time that were ruined because of the water. But anyway, it finally cleared up. And,
Everywhere but my house.
oh my, no it hadn't, has
No,
it?
it hasn't.
And
I don't know what the problem is.
I don't understand
but
that either.
it's one of those crazy things where 3 filters won't keep it out, and I end up having them. If I'd brought you my clothes, you really would dislike me.
gosh.
But anyway, I'm glad that, you know, a lot of that problem has been
It
resolved.
has been resolved, and or it was. And
Did you get a lot of flake, I call it, from people
Oh.
over that changing from Calvert Springs to the lake?
all the time. Calls all the time. And I felt so sorry for the girls in the water department. People were just really ugly. I can remember one time going up to talk to some man on the Holland Road, and I cried. I just walked off over to the side and sat down. I thought, I don't know if we'll ever get this fixed, but we did. We got it fixed, so that...
It's something that a lot of times we take our frustration out on the people who can't do anything about it.
Right.
I try to be careful about that, but I tell you, you can get frustrated over things to where you do sometimes react in a way you shouldn't as a Christian even. People need to be careful with people's feelings. We'll use this little point to say, think before you tell somebody off, because many times they're working in a position. I had a deal yesterday, and the girl, just not to mention what it was, but this has been going on since the 3rd of March, brought some furniture, and she didn't have anything to do with it, but they promised to get me a new cushion. Well, they got me a slip cover, and it comes in, it doesn't even fit in my chair. And so I have called, and I've done everything, and they even had a rep come look at it and said they'd give me a cushion, you know, to replace the one that's bad. Well, I'm still, so as I left, I said, the lady says, everything all right? And I said, I'm an unhappy camper.
Well.
So I said, when it comes in, I want them to come and put it on my chair. I'm not coming back over here to get it. And I thought later, you know, maybe I was a little bit too abrupt, because we never know when we're, you know, hurting someone who's already hurting to start with. But I know you took a lot of, I can't think of a better word than flake from people, and I know you had a lot of it. I just know that.
And I've lost my cool several times. I know I was telling one girl something one time, and she got right in my face and pointed her finger at me, and after she left, the girls said, the next time you decide to tell somebody what's wrong, you get over here behind the desk instead of right there where they can get to you. So, but it was an interesting, and then after the 5 years, I went on and ran again, so I had 9 years in all.
So really, that must not have been too bad, or you wanted to finish the projects that you had started.
That's true, and we did get them finished, but my husband decided that I didn't need to run again, so he said he wanted me home. So
you mean after the second term?
After the second term, yeah.
Well, I thought you had told me that John wanted you at home.
No, he didn't. He said no. And Daddy didn't want me to run the second time, but he was quite ill, and I don't think he even realized that I had run and was going back in. But anyway, they were ready for me to to settle down.
Do you think
and
of any interesting or funny things that happened to you during the time you were mayor?
all. Oh my!
Do you think of anything?
I can't think
Comes
of
to mind?
I can't think of any funny things right off. I just
It was work.
Oh, it was work. I met a lot of interesting people, and I think that's one of the things that I enjoyed about it, and I think that's one of the things that I miss. I was on the Kentucky League of Cities board and also the Barren River Area Development Board, and I met so many nice people, and I found out that Scottsville was not unique, that these other mayors had the same problems and, you know, the same projects, the same problems that we had here. And it helped. It helped me to understand that you can deal with these things.
That's like sickness. I think, you know, if you're with somebody who's had cancer and you have it, it helps them to know, well, how did you cope?
Yes, exactly.
And that's really, I guess, what From the Heart's all about, is trying to talk to people who've been there and done that. And I know that being a mayor has to be a taxing job. And I was so thrilled when you decided to run for a second term, not because she was a lady, but because I thought she was doing a good job and I wanted it to continue. The way I always looked at it with you, Dale, you saw it from a woman's perspective too, and we had never had that, I don't think. You were the first one, weren't you?
I meant to say, yes, I was the first lady on the city council and the first lady mayor. I think women have a different outlook than men, and I'm not saying it's any better, but I'm saying that we look at things differently, and whether that's good or bad, you know, I want things to be nice, and for when people come into our community, I want things to them to think, oh, this is such a nice place, and it's so clean and so well kept. And I guess that's one reason that the yard's not mowed and the house is dilapidated. I guess that's one reason that I really tried to get a lot of that cleaned up. And we did have a project down on 1st Street, and there were 3 or 4 dilapidated houses down there. I mean, some of them were just falling down, and there would be people that would stay in there at night. We went in and we'd find mattresses on the floor, and it was just awful. And we worked, and we got a grant, and we had some new houses built, and it's nice now. It's a whole lot better than it was, that street. And I don't know, I just think it's very important to keep things neat and nice. And
I do too, and we were driving through many times lately. We've looked at how we think so many places are deteriorating, and a lot of things in the yard, and things. And a town, I look at it that we, in any town where you happen to live, we need to take pride in it.
Absolutely.
That's what we're going to leave behind for our children and grandchildren if they remain in that area. And there are a lot of towns that aren't in as good a shape as Scottsville is. I noticed buildings, and of course with the grants that we've been receiving and being able to do some sprucing up on the buildings, and the new City of Scottsville project, which a lot of people are skeptical about that, and some don't like it and some do, but I think you have to look at it and say it looks better, and when it's finished, it's going to be beautiful, I believe. And we should take care of it. I mean, it's up to the people as to whether we have a nice town and a town that draws people, or whether we have something that people just want to go on by.
Yeah.
So, but do you have a pet project, Dale? You're still active. You're a member of BRAD, correct?
I'm still on the BRAD board.
Okay. What are some things you do on that? People might not be familiar with that board.
They have grants, and they have elderly things for the elderly. They have food programs for the elderly, and I know they come over to the what is it called? Oh,
Senior Citizens.
Senior Citizens
place. I don't know the name of it.
I don't either. But they come over there, and they provide funding for various organizations, and they have the CDBG grants. That's what helps revitalize an area or put a water line in somewhere, and I know they were trying to work on a grant for Dumont Hill, and I don't think they've written it yet, but I think that'll be coming up soon. Hopefully they can get that done. And I've always felt like that the ad districts have done an awful lot for the communities. I'm pleased. In fact, they were the ones that helped us with the houses on First Street, and they helped a lot on that. And besides Brad, I'm on the Housing Authority Board, and I'm also on the Planning and Zoning Board, which sometimes that's not much fun, but I really felt it was important to get zoning in Scottsville.
Oh, I believe it is, too.
We have it in the city. We don't have it in the county. But people think that, you know, you're going to tell people what to do with their property. Actually, it's a safeguard. It keeps something unpleasant from coming in next door to you, hopefully. And you've got just some rules and regulations that will give some guidelines. So,
and without those, you have a lot of problems in the town.
Exactly.
In the city.
Right. It's a lot more difficult to get it to come into a county. I've heard this for some time.
I think one of the hardest things to do, and for many of you out there in the county, I think sometimes we fail to look into what actually is in there, you know, and you take word of mouth. Well, this is going to be bad for me because they're just going to tell me what to do, and I can't do this and I can't do that. But let's say you have a beautiful home out in the county and somebody comes in and puts a trailer park right next to you, or something that, you know, even worse than that, businesses or something, and you have no control over it.
That's it.
And so I can see, you know, I can hear the arguments and I can see some of the people's frustration and fear about it. But I think a lot of the things that we experience is because we don't bother to find out. I know we had so much static about the heart of Scottsville.
Oh.
And I know there's been headaches with it and problems and all the lines and everything, but they proved to us they could do it quickly. They finally got on the ball and got one finished in a record time.
Yes.
So I'm very thankful for what they've done up there, and I think if people really look at it and the redoing the fronts of the buildings.
Oh, they're beautiful.
And I just think Roe's doing a great job. I think he's a sweet little guy. I saw him today with his little camera making pictures.
Yeah, we're fortunate to have him.
So now, are you still working in what other things are you still on? You're not going to go home and sit down and just be inactive.
I'm not
I know
do
that.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Anything else that you're being a part of?
Well, of course, our church. You know, I'm on the council at the church, and
it's okay to tell them where you attend church.
Well, we attend Christ the King, and we're in the middle of a building project. So hopefully, one of these days, we'll have a larger facility.
Oh,
so,
okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we are.
At the same spot?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes, probably just add on. So anyway, we're excited about that. So.
Anything else you think of you want to tell everybody?
Oh, I don't know. Just.
What would you say to people about how they should respect the mayor? In any city, any town around us. We go into a lot of different towns.
A lot of people don't realize that the mayor, even though they call it a part-time job, it's not. That job never ends because you've got projects going and people will call at night. Complaints, right. And then when you do go home, you don't forget, oh, this has got to be done, and who do I need to call to see if we can get this worked out? But I was very proud to be the mayor of Scottsville, and it was a good experience for me. I loved the people I worked with. I really missed them when I left. We had good employees, and I felt like that they worked hard. I really did, and they still do. I don't, just because I'm not up there, I can see what they're doing, and it's not an easy job.
No, I'm sure it is, and I've never run for office, but I have had, you know, just listening to people who have been on the city council and different things. You're continually, when you're on the city council, faced with people really getting irate at you because they think you can just go in there and change everything. And we know if you really look at it, one person can't do it.
And that's one thing I need to say. You know, another project that I was on, and the 231 committee, that road to Bowling Green to me is one of the best things that's ever happened to Scottsville and Allen County. But it wasn't one or two people that did that. I mean, there were numerous people that were involved in that project. And the YMCA project, for
Fantastic.
Oh,
Wow.
it's been one of
To
the best
stay the art.
things. Yes, but it wasn't one or two people. It was many people that had been involved, and that's the same way with being the mayor. I didn't do it. I had a lot and lots of help. I mean, we just had a lot of good help, and as I said, I met a lot of nice people, engineers, and they were very helpful, and it was a fun experience.
Well,
So-
I'm glad that you were mayor for that length of time. I liked having you up there, as I've said before. And so maybe this would inspire some of you ladies out there who have it in your blood to help your community. And Dale would say to you, go for it. Because if you can put the love into it and the time into it, I think that's probably one of the things that a lot of people don't want to put the time into something that they're not going to get all that much out of, because it's not the best paying job in the world.
No, it's not. It's sort of a volunteer status, I think. But I started to say something. I've forgotten what it was now. But anyway, it was worth it, and I know you can't fix everything, but you'd like to try. One thing, I tried to treat people fairly. I didn't care where you were from or where you lived or whatever. I tried to treat everybody the same. Now, some of my employees might not have felt that way at times, but I did. I tried to be fair.
And I think that's important, because there shouldn't be any big I's and little U's in government, because money shouldn't be what buys,
No.
you know, an ear.
No.
And one thing I think comes to mind about Dale, you never did change your home phone number, did you?
No,
to an
ma'am.
unlisted number.
No.
And that always amazed me. That amazed me with Dr. Hall. I could call him at night, and I never could get anybody else at night, I'll just tell you, nobody. But he always was there for me and would call in, you know, for me. And I just really appreciate your family. And we're going to run out of time, Dale, but it's
Okay.
been such a thrill
It's
to
been
have you
fun.
on. And we're going to show the pictures of your family now. We'll close with that. And there's Dale and John. And name the kids again.
Oh,
just the
Beth,
children.
Johnny, Daniel, Vera, and Michael.
Well, no, we're not going to ask her to name the
No,
other
I can't.
16.
And all
But
16.
I'm really thankful that Dale has such a wonderful family. She's been a wonderful mother, and then a mayor of Scottsville. Tune in again next time.
God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide. Hold me closely to his side. With love and strength for each new day, he will make a way. He will make a way. Let's sing it together. Oh, God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. Oh, he will be my guide. Hold me closely to his side. With love and strength